Hello, welcome to another video. So today we are looking at sitemaps and why they can be useful and why you might want to save them as JSON format as opposed to XML, and how you would be able to flatten their structure using Python and make use of them with your spider for web scraping. So if that's of interest, keep watching. So a sitemap is a list of pages of a website. Sitemaps used during the planning of website by its designers, human visible listings. Third one, this is what we're interested in. Structured listings intended for web crawlers. Well, that sounds good. And yeah, such as search engines. Well, strictly speaking, we're probably not a search engine, but yeah, sitemaps. Let's have a look at how we could make use of them. We don't really want to be parsing XML, not when we might be able to get one as JSON. So what would we do to do that? I think we will resort to Google. So very quickly I just searched and found this, which was libraryofcongress.github.io, data exploration, sitemaps.html. Sitemaps provide links in a collection of items in a collection. Sitemaps are in XML. Here, for instance, you can change FO equals sitemap to FO equals JSON. So yeah, here we've got the output of the sitemap in XML, and if we change that to JSON and refresh it, hopefully we'll find that we get a sitemap in JSON format, which we will have a quick look at. And yeah, in the browser it's not quite as friendly, but as we know, with Python and JSON, you've got quite a powerful combination. So yeah, the curly brace, that tells us we've got a start of a dictionary. That's a key, digitized. That's obviously a value, key. And then we've got a value there, which is also a dictionary. So we've got dictionaries inside dictionaries. And if you're interested in that, let's carry on and write some code. Okay, so for the remainder of this video, it's going to be me writing some code to flatten a dictionary of lists and dictionaries. Then I'll explain why it could be useful within a spider. So let's start. We've got a JSON file here, which I've got from effectively a large supermarket style of website. We've got categories, which is inside a dictionary. Then we can see we've got a list, and then we've got a dictionary, and then we've got a list and a dictionary. So we've got a dictionary inside a list, inside a dictionary, inside a list, inside a dictionary. That's already interesting. So let's start. So the file I've called sitemap.json. So first thing to do is import JSON. Import. I'm going to import. I might just import time as well, just to slow down the script when it runs. So I'll just save that, and I'm going to call it JSON flatten.py. And the first thing we want to do is import the JSON file. So with sitemap.json, as JSON file. there we go. So with the JSON file, we open it and we load it into a dictionary. A dictionary is called bdict. No particular reason for that. You've got to give it a name, so there we go. And let's just do Control B, check up. We can build stuff. Yep, I'm using Sublime Text, but you can use whatever you want. Okay. So the fact it ran successfully means it's found the JSON file. So wherever you've got your json.flatten.py, you need the sitemap.json in the same directory. If it's not in the same directory, you can specify a path to it. Okay. Right, next thing I want to do is write a function. So def flatten, flatten JSON. What am I going to pass to it? I'm just going to pass to it my JSON dictionary. And I think we're going to be outputting a list. I think that's what we need at the end of this. So list equals empty list to start with. And then we need to say my list equals the dictionary that we've just loaded from the JSON. And if we go and have a look at it, the first thing I want to do is let's have a look at what we've got here. We know that is the first key of a dictionary. So let's just load the categories. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I've just specified the key to equal the list, print my list. So I think that should just give us categories. Let's see what happens when we run that. So print flatten JSON, and we're going to send it bdict, which we've already loaded. So what have we got? We've got every value of that first key. So there was only one key as such, one outer key. All the other keys are keys inside the values of the first key, if that makes sense. It does get quite confusing. So if at any time you want to see what you're dealing with, the best thing to do is actually check whether you're actually trying to work with a list or a dictionary. So I'm just going to put type there, and it's going to tell me whether I'm handling a dictionary or a list, because obviously that makes a lot of difference. And I've got an error because of one bracket. Okay, so I now know that I'm handling a list, which then means I can iterate through it without having to use keys and values. Right, so we've got a list. Now that we've got a list, we can say something like I'm going to call them names. You could just say I if you were used to more familiar with sort of C programming. That's the beauty of Python though, you can call your iterables meaningful names. For names in my list, it's no good just doing print here because we've got keys and values still, so we need to say something like dict names equals, in here we've got, see what we want to do is we want to flatten this entire structure just to pick out the codes and the names. We're not interested in the top categories. We just want to get all the subcategories. So we want to end up with a list of codes and names, because these are what we are going to use in our query strings when we this here will form part of our URL that we crawl with our spider. So dict names equals, I'm going to try names, so that's just the iterable, and let's see if we can pick out sub categories. I'm just going to run that. Okay, no errors. I'm just going to hash out that. So as we go through, I'm just going to keep using the print statement. I'm just going to keep seeing what it is I'm actually dealing with. So let's do type dict names. See what we've got now. Okay, so we're iterating through a whole bunch of lists. Don't know how many that is. Just says they're in 9. To me that looks like a list for every category. Well, except category, that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, go. So we're down as far as the subcategories now. Now from the subcategories we need to pick out the code and the name. So the code and the name are both keys. So they're both keys within a dictionary. So let's have a think about that. We're going to need to do an inner loop which will then pick out the keys and values. So we say for key value in, let's just, we'll use I here, in i.items. We need to loop through all of those subcategories. So let's say for I in dict names, because we can see it's a list. So here we just say for, let's okay, do print I here. This looks good. So we've distilled it down into, inside each list we've got the dictionaries. So now we need to pick out, we need to flatten this still, because we've got a load of lists each with 3 dictionaries inside. So within each of those lists we can then pick out the keys and values. So key value in I being the iterable, which I can't spell, and then let's just print it for now, and then we'll, if it works, we can then append that to our list called ls. So we've got right, that it is pretty good. So if you, let's go to the top. Okay, we've got three of those, each beer. We've got beer 3 times. 2013, 2001. Why is that coming up 3 times? Hang on. Have we? We're doing print twice. Let's take out all these prints. Just run that again, which is one print. So that was making it do 3 times. We're still doing print here because we're printing once. All this is getting printed at the end, and then we're also printing it a second time. So yeah. Alright, let's do return I. We're getting close to solving this now. So if we return I and run that. So this is where we need to use the list. So right, okay. ls.append I, and then we need to return ls. So we're just going to return our list, and then we can return our list outside of that block, and I think we need to return it there because we just want to return it once. If we had it indented there, we'd be returning it however many times that loops and so on. So we need it right outside of all of the blocks, and we just need it at this level. So let's try that. Okay. What's going on here? We've got code, name. That's not really flattened it. We've got beer. 1, 2. Just hold on a second. What we're getting is we're getting all of the items, so we don't want key value pairs, we just want keys or values. Ideally we want a list of keys and a list of values where the code is the key and the value is the name. So let's change that to v. Print all the values. Okay, that's promising. So now I can see we've got a list, and we've got a list of code, name. No, I can see that's better because we've got code, name. So we've got beer, bitters and ales, cider. Let's just check it. Beer, bitters and ales, cider, and we haven't got beer, cider and alcoholic RTDs because we don't want that, because that doesn't actually, that's no use to us in a URL. We need these to be part of our query string in our URLs for Scrapy. I think that's worked. So we've now produced a list. So the list is a list of alternating code, name, code, name, code, name. I want to keep it as a, let's see how we can make it into 2 lists. Let's do this, but then if we print, we can do something like print, so we slice it, and we can slice it every second value. Let's try that and comment that out, because otherwise we're going to get a screen full. There we go. So I don't know if this is recommended, but I like it because it works. 2001, 2010, 2020, 2001, 2010, 2020, 2040, yep. 2050, yep. 2060, yep. I like this. Okay, so that's going to make us a list. So I'm just printing here, but you could set that to a variable. So let's just say codes equals, and if we do the same, and then we can say names, And instead of, we want to iterate through that list every second value, but instead of starting at 0 and going 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, we want to go 1, 3, 5, 7. So here we'll just start from 1, and I'll just hash that, comment that out, and then we'll run this. And what I'm expecting to see is a list of names: beer, bitters, ale, cider, ready to drink, biscuit bars. So let's run that. And we've not seen anything because I've not printed it. That might help. So, oh. Notice how that 1 colon made all the difference, because otherwise we were not going to the end. You need, so with slicing a list, it's start, stop, and then I forget what it's called. It's the step, I think. Step. So we're doing in steps of 2. Without that, it didn't know that I was going up to the end, because that's just a separator or something. So yeah, let's run that again. Yeah, and we can just inspect that a bit. So beer, bitters, ales, bitters and ales, so that's all 1. Cider, ready to drink, biscuit bars. So remember those 5. And beer, bitters and ales, cider, ready to drink, well, we don't, that's a subcategory, we don't want that. So then we go to biscuit bars, catering biscuits. These are, so these name values we will probably pass as meta or CB quarks in Scrapy, but really we want the code, so yeah, let's just comment that out for the time being. And this is really what we wanted, so print codes. I think you know where this is going. There we go. So we've got a list of codes, and the beauty of this is that we can iterate through all of these within Scrapy, and we can say something like, you know, for I in codes, and then we can for each one of those we can append code, or rather we can insert code into our query. Sorry about the typing. Insert the code into the query string, and then we've got, does that say? I still don't know how many. Oh, let's just do length. Print length of names. And just comment that out. Why is that not even? Why is that complaining? I've hashed it out. Let's do print length of codes. There we go, 190. So you can now hopefully see the benefit of getting a sitemap, which, as we saw earlier, a sitemap which can come from how to get JSON sitemap. What one did I find? Did I find? Oh, it's that one. Yeah, so for instance, they provided you with sitemaps, and any site that wants to be crawled should provide a sitemap. And if it provides a sitemap, as we can see, it provides it either as JSON or XML. So either choose JSON or convert from XML to JSON. Once you've got a JSON, you can load it into a dictionary in Python, as long as you've imported JSON. Time there. And yeah, then you can write a function. The function is necessary because it will return a nice flattened list. And what you need to do is keep using type, because at every point it will be necessary to identify whether you're working with a list or a dictionary. If you're working with a dictionary, then you need to pick out the keys and the values, such as we did there. If you're just working with a list, then you just pick out the iterable, such as there and there. So here we can see that what I've done is I've iterated through a list to get another list, and inside the second list we have dictionaries. So that's a dictionary inside a list, which is inside the dictionary. And hopefully that makes sense, and if that's been interesting, or if you'd like to know more, I'll probably show it in use inside the Scrapy Spider next time. And yeah, I hope that's been enjoyable, and see you next time.